Sure. I'm John Garey, and I am the creator and owner of John Garey TV, which is a video on demand service for Pilates and fitness enthusiasts.
Yes. And that's not a COVID baby. You've been doing that for some time now with great success.
Yeah, so we are 5 years into it now, since we launched. We launched
Okay.
5 years ago, but really it was in development for a year and a half before that, and just getting content ready because you can't launch a video on demand service without any videos.
Right.
So,
Yes.
there was a lot of prep that went into it, but it is definitely my passion. It brings together all the things that I love.
Mhm.
And it's really been just a joy journey along the way. Now, I'm not saying everything is perfect, and every step of the way was perfect, but
Right.
I'm so glad I just jumped in with both feet and just like went for it. So
Yeah. That's and that jumping in with both feet piece is the part that really intrigues me. And I'm always curious to find out how did you come to that decision making process? Because I know the Pilates world is very hands-on, tactile cues in person,
yeah,
So
and that's a really important part of what we do as Pilates teachers. I mean, it's crucial, um, especially when you're working with new clients and newer clients, and your clients who don't have quite the body awareness that others do.
yes.
So it's a teaching tool that I know a lot of people now are realizing just how important it is,
Yeah.
as a lot of instructors have gone online, a lot of teachers have gone online. Um, but I think that there were other things that for me said, at that time, this is something that I want to be able to do because I want to be able to reach people that I wouldn't normally be able to reach. And that was really
Yes.
the reason for it in the beginning. I for years traveled around the world teaching instructors, primarily doing some master classes for clients as well, but primarily teaching instructors around the world. And I loved it. I love it. I still love traveling. I can't wait to get back to it. I love that the energy that comes from teaching a group of instructors, some that you haven't seen in years, some that are brand new, some that maybe you
Yes.
saw a week ago and they're traveling with you or whatever, which is a really, really cool thing. But, the world is a big place. And, what would happen is there would, you're going to hear some dog barking on my end because we
That's
have a we have a puppy.
okay.
He's a year and a half, and he's very vocal. So
Okay. Good to know.
just fair warning.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so through that, I realized that you know a lot of the people who came to see me said, "When are you coming back next? Can you come back next year?" And that's it's just not possible. And so I had already done a ton of video work for Stop Pilates for
Yes.
Marathon, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my career. And I just, YouTube was really big. There were a lot of influences
Yes.
on there, and I just thought, this is a really great way to stay in touch with people until the next time I can visit in person. And so that's
Yes.
really how it started. It started with me really thinking about how I could, um, you know, reach people in the Midwest who don't have access to, I lived in LA at the time, so they don't have access to all of the phenomenal studios that were like, a stone's throw distance from me
Yes.
that I could go to. So I just wanted to be able to create that space. And so
Yeah.
that's how we started. And, we one of the things that we did right in the beginning was provide notes, teaching notes for every workout that we posted.
Okay. Yes.
And that's a big thing.
Yes. Right.
5 years and 600 workouts later, I realize how big a thing that is.
Yeah.
But you know, the teachers, and we have a lot more than teachers now. It's definitely grown. But the teachers who are with us really, they love that part of it. They love getting the notes, and we put thumbnail images of every exercise and stuff. So, so that was how I really came to want to do it, and how we kind of moved forward in the space. And you know, as we grew, after the first year, I realized we had more than just teachers on our site. We had a lot of Pilates enthusiasts that
Yes.
really, you know, found us and loved the workouts, and wanted to, you know, continue doing workouts with us. So
Right.
then we, you know, we kind of expanded our offerings, and started to put together programs that were like, you know, 6 weeks long or 4 weeks long, so people could follow through.
Yes.
And yeah, it's been a lot.
What an
It's been a
amazing
lot.
journey.
Yeah, and it's really, you know, it's really two of us.
Okay.
It's me, and it's my full-time videographer.
Okay.
And then we have, that's it. And then, you know,
Yeah.
a year ago, in October, I finally hired a marketing team to help me manage some of the postings and stuff like that you see online. I still, you know, for quotes and all that kind of stuff, I do the legwork. I find the quote, I write my thing about the quote that says something to me, but they make it look pretty, and post it.
Yes.
And so we have our marketing team that helps with that in our ad campaign. And then we have our IntelliVideo is where we host our site and our apps.
Okay.
And so they take care of that, and they take care of the like technical things,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So,
Right.
but really it's just Eric and me.
That's amazing. And for those who are watching too, I'm glad that, John, you're taking time with the technical side of it, because, you know, it just looks sexy from the outside looking in, right? But like, you don't appreciate some of the challenges. I love your we speak. Like, it's not just me and I did this, but like there's so many people that you're thinking about as you're doing it. And like Roxy says, it sounds like a big operation.
It's, you know, the one thing, and I know a lot of Pilates instructors will appreciate this, especially as I think a lot of us are doing more things online, and handling our own business, because we're doing, a lot of instructors are now doing it from home like I do.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot that goes into that 1 hour class that you're going to teach, or that client that you're going to meet. There's a lot that goes into it. So that 1 hour, you know, it's not just an hour. There's a lot of thought. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of preparation, everything from the technical side, now trying to figure out, is my camera in the right place, and can they hear me, and how do I make it better, and all of that stuff. It takes time, and you know, some people will hate it, and you know, once we're all able to, you know, go back to working in a studio, they'll go back to working in a studio. Yeah, they'll just go back. And there are going to be a lot of people who will also want to go back to that. You know, clients who will want to go back. But I think there's a considerable number of people who really enjoy working out in their own home.
Yes.
And now there's a considerable number of instructors who are like, yeah, I like it better being my own boss and doing my own thing. So I think my vision of what's going to happen is that both of those things will be able to coincide. And, you know, a majority of people will do some stuff in the studio and some stuff at home, but you'll have your people who only do the studio and people who only do their in-home work.
Right, exactly. And John, did you plan this out? Like, it sounds like it was more of just an organic reaction to wanting to connect to more people. Like, it doesn't sound like you had like a vision board, and in 5 years I'll have a staff working with me, and that's you know what I mean?
Well, I kind of had both.
Okay.
You know, what I've found in business, because at the same time that I started John Garey TV, I owned a brick and mortar. I owned John Garey Fitness and Pilates Studio, which is still there in Long Beach, California. I don't own it anymore, but it's still there. And I started that and ran that for 18 years, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. So, when I first started this, I did have a vision that, you know, I wanted it to reach worldwide, and I wanted to be able to provide a certain amount of content consistently, which we've been able to do over the 5 years, and that I eventually wanted to grow into a small team.
Yes.
And that was my vision from the beginning. I knew I needed to do what I did when I opened my brick and mortar studio, which was do the work myself first.
Yes.
Build my audience, get everything organized the way I would want it to be organized if I was going to go in and start teaching for someone else. And
Yes.
so I wanted to lay that foundation first, a really strong foundation, a really strong brand. And then, you know, I think what I do the best actually in my professional career is find great talent and build strong teams. That's what I love to do, and I think I've been able to do that very well.
Yes.
You know, my history is managing fitness programs and managing Pilates programs from Philadelphia to Chicago to San Diego to Long Beach. So, you know, a lot of big clubs and in a lot of big spaces. And I love that. I love it. I love when people say, "Oh my God, I'm moving and I can't believe it. There's nothing like what you do," or, you know, not me, but my team.
Yes.
What you do anywhere where I'm going. And so that was my ultimate vision, was to be able to create that online. So people have this amazing Pilates studio and they don't know which instructor to take because they're all so good.
Yes.
And that's my, I'm starting to realize that now, which I'm so excited about.
Nice.
I get really excited about stuff.
Yeah. Well, and then, so what, if we could break that down, like what is the key to finding that kind of talent? What do you see? What are you looking for in those people?
I've been asked that actually a lot. And early on when I started John Garey TV, I did like a video ebook. It's basically a video version of a book where it was 8 chapters, and each chapter I talk about what it takes to be a great instructor, and it's called Moving from Good to Great. We still have it available on our site. And one of the chapters in there's a lot of chapters that I think they're all crucial, actually, or I wouldn't have done it. But
no wasted chapters.
The one chapter that we're talking about, I think right now, focusing on, I call the it factor.
Okay.
And so that's what I look for. And it's, at first I was like, how do I describe this? Because I know, I can tell during an audition, in the first 5 minutes, I can tell whether that instructor is the right instructor for my team. I can tell whether they're a good instructor, and I can tell whether they have that it factor.
Okay.
And it is the ability, to me, the it factor is the ability to allow your vulnerabilities to show alongside of your confidence, and to own both.
Yes, to own both.
And it's really difficult for people to do. It is that whole thing we talk about, being your authentic self.
Yes.
And really not being afraid to show a little bit of that vulnerability.
Yes.
So I think, you know, those things ride side by side, the confidence and the vulnerability. And when you know, if you think about your favorite teachers, and if you really think about it, they allowed you into their world. They invited you in.
Yes.
But at the same time, they had so much to offer, so much kind of coming out of them.
Yes.
That you just melt. And not everybody has that with the same person.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So there's so many variables, so many moving parts to that. Because in one context, I could be the most vulnerable and most confident person, but then one person walks in the room and then I just turtle up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's important for you to find your space where you're comfortable allowing that to happen.
Yes.
And also being okay with knowing that not every client is going to connect with you that way. Yeah. And it's okay.
Right.
Because that becomes the world of plenty rather than that whole, like, there's not enough to go around, that scarcity thing. That I think it's a real issue for a lot of instructors.
Yeah. So how do you coach people to confidence then? If you see that a person's just on the cusp of being what you want, but you see that that confidence just isn't there enough.
So I think that's easier to coach than coaching someone to kind of be able to show some vulnerability. I think it's
Yes.
easier to coach confidence because really confidence comes with practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Confidence, it comes with mastery.
Great.
So, and mastery really is you are, you think about, I'm going to take driving as an example.
Yes.
When you first learn to drive, you need to consciously think of everything going on.
Yes.
Where is my foot? Am I on the gas or the brake? How are my
Right.
hands on the wheel? Where am I looking? What's happening? Like there's so much going on,
Yes. Yes.
and it's all important. It's
Yes.
all important, and you're nervous, and you're not great at it. There's not
Right.
great car road coordination sometimes. you know,
Right.
but as you practice more and more and more and more, you get better and better and better at it. And things happen automatically. Things
Yes.
that you had to think about before are now just innate.
Yes.
They
They're
just happen.
autonomic. Yes.
Yeah. And so that same thing happens with every skill. And I think that happens with teaching and confidence.
Yes.
The more you teach, the more experiences you have with things that don't work, as well as things that work well, the more you learn. And of course, as Oprah said, or Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better.
Yes.
And I think that's a huge part of mastery.
Yes.
Is being able to take in that the negative stuff, or the stuff that, I won't even say negative, the stuff that doesn't go well.
Right.
Because it's not really negative, it's just error.
Yes. Right.
And
Exactly.
then saying, let's switch gears here and see if we can't do this better. And then you do it better, and then you're better at it, and then it becomes innate, and you don't have to think about that anymore. You can think about the next thing.
Yes. And Tasha put up a comment here, like, yes, the learning from the things that don't work.
Yeah.
Right. And that's true, but there's a confidence or resilience that's needed to put yourself in positions where you might fail so that you can get that confidence.
Yeah. And I think we were talking about this already, that the example of people learning to teach online it's a great example of that. It is a totally different skill set. Not totally, but it is a different skill set than teaching live, than teaching in person.
Right.
And you have to, because here's what happens. A lot of instructors were already great. They were masters at teaching in person.
Yes.
And then they have to change how they do that and teach online. And it's a new skill.
Yes.
But they also have that mastery. So it's very frustrating because you can't make it happen like that.
Yes.
You have to know that there's going to be errors and there's going to be glitches. And you have to then learn how to deal with that happening.
Right. I've had to reflect on that a lot too, with having patience with myself and having grace with myself. And what I mean by that is, in the times I was a personal trainer for many years before I came into the Pilates world. So then I'm learning this new vocabulary for Pilates, where if you said to me, well, my shoulder hurts, let's do a different exercise. We can go to the TRX, we can use the Viper, we can use the kettlebell, we use dumbbells. I can throw 50 other variations of an exercise to you. But my Pilates vocabulary was so small, I only had one more exercise left. So, right, so you have to like learn and just like take that's transferable skill set, overlay it with these new things, these new variables to land that mastery in this place.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's exactly it, right? Because mastery is, it inside out and backward, and part of that is being able to bring in things from other areas, whether a lot of instructors have a dance background or a fitness background, or you can even go off the grid there and say that you have a law degree.
Yes.
you're going to be able to pull in things once you're really competent
Right.
in teaching Pilates, you're going to be able to start pulling in things from other places. And that's where the individuality comes in.
Absolutely.
And I think that's an important part of growth. It's an important part of realizing that, don't stay stagnant. And yes, the work is the work and it's great. And we love to go back to the basics. I love to go back to the basics always.
Mhm.
But you still want your brain to work. You still,
Yes.
if you've learned that Pilates, all of those Pilates exercises inside out and backward, then it's the fun part where you get to like say, well, what if I do this and what if I do that? Now you
Yes.
have to be able to answer the question, why are you
Why?
doing that?
Right. Yes. Right.
Are you just doing it for the Instagram image, or are you doing it because, and that's okay. I
Right.
love those images. They're
Right. But
great.
just answer why.
Yeah, yeah. Just know why and be
Yes.
okay with the answer once you once you get it.
Exactly. And John, how did you find Pilates? Like right out the gate, like what is it that drew you to Pilates?
So, my background in fitness is my forever. It's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Doing workouts with my dad, who was a Marine,
Oh
when
yeah.
I was a kid. Learning how to do the perfect military push up and that
Yes.
kind of stuff. And I just loved it. Loved it.
Yes.
Couldn't get enough of it. And then through high school, being involved in different sports, and then going to college for sociology, but realizing that that wasn't what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be in higher ed administration because I was a residence hall advisor when I was in college. It's part of the way I put myself through college.
Right.
But I realized after getting my first job out of school at Fordham University in the Bronx.
Okay.
And I lived there. I was a residence hall director, so I lived on campus for a year. I realized I no longer wanted to be around college students once I wasn't in college anymore.
You're over it.
No offense to college students, but I was past that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. But loved being in New York City, and then I ended up getting a job as assistant student activities director at NYU.
Okay.
And then I went to grad school from there for physical education, because I knew that was my passion, and I just knew I wanted to do something with it. And that was back in the 80s, so corporate fitness was the big thing.
Yes.
My first job out of grad school was working for Payne Weber, which was a big banking company back in the day, which changed its name to UBE.
Okay.
Now that's what it's called. But they had like their own on-site fitness facility. And so I started working there, and I started teaching group fitness, and then I became really involved in group fitness. I fell in love with the whole teaching large groups of people
Yes.
to move. It was
Crowd
so
management and dynamics and oh yeah.
so fun, so fun. And it brought together for me kind of the love of performing. I love performing, and also of teaching movement. So those things just married really well.
Yes.
And then I got out of the corporate world and went into the commercial fitness world, and moved to Chicago and worked at the sporting club at Illinois Center, where Michael Jordan at the time was working out with his trainer.
Yes.
And it was this beautiful facility, big climbing wall up through the center. It was just gorgeous. And I got the job as a group fitness director.
Okay.
And I was also competing in sport aerobics, which was really big in the 80s and 90s.
For sport aerobics. Okay.
Yep. And I was on a team of three, Johnny Underwood, Patrick Knowles, and me. And we were practicing for nationals. And I was really working on my flexibility. I was very, very tight, really tight. And that's not a good thing for an aerobic sport competitor.
No.
So one of my clients that I was personally training told me, you should try Pilates. And I had never heard of it. This was 1992, I think. And she directed me to a place where she had taken a couple of Pilates sessions. It was down not that far from the sporting club. I can't remember the name of it. But my first instructor was Patrick O'Brien. And he ended up owning a couple studios. I don't think he owns them anymore, but they were called From the Center. He was a
Okay.
dancer and a Pilates instructor, and he was really good. And you know, the first experience walking into a Pilates studio and looking at all this crazy equipment, like what the
What?
heck?
Yes.
But it was so cool. You know, being
Yeah.
a fitness junkie, I just fell in love with it.
Just ate it up, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like most people in our industry, I couldn't afford it.
Right. That's also part of it, yes.
So Patrick and I worked out a trade deal because he wanted to start lifting weights. So I trained him
Yeah.
in strength training, and he trained me in Pilates, and we had this trade going on, and I just fell in love with it. And as I was doing that, everything else I was doing got better.
Yes.
Everything. I was jumping higher. I was stronger. I was lifting more weight. Like everything got better. And the only thing that changed was that I added Pilates into my practice.
Yes.
And that was it. I was hooked. That was it.
Yeah.
And my boys and I, Johnny and Patrick, we won the national aerobic title that year for
There you go.
teams.
Yes.
And yeah, it's all because of Pilates.
All because of Pilates. Yes. You got the t-shirt still or anything? Like you're like
I have a jacket. I got like, you know, they give you
nice.
like a leather jacket to
Right?
wear.
Like a
Yeah,
letter?
we
Yeah.
toured for a year. That was one of the best things that happened because what you won, you didn't win any money or anything like that. You won the title, and
Yeah.
then you got a contract to tour for a year in malls all across America.
Oh, malls.
Where all of the regional competitions were taking place. So
Yes.
I got to go all around the United States, go to states I'd never been to before,
Yes.
and do my routine with my teammates, and meet a whole bunch of people. And then in all the cities, they would have us go and teach classes. So that was really how I got known for
Very
as kind of a
cool.
master trainer for
Yes.
group fitness. And so I was doing the major fitness shows like Idea.
Yes.
And that's where I met Moira Moira Merrithew
Yes.
of Stop Pilates, and yeah, and I fell in love with her too. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be a trainer. I'd actually studied Pilates with two other people before that. First, Elizabeth Larkham.
Okay.
She
Yes.
was with Polestar, and our club started a Pilates program. I was living in San Diego then, and she came in and trained us
Yes.
on mat, reformer, and chair and barrels.
Okay.
And then I finished that realizing that I was in deep trouble because, coming from a fitness world where I knew everything into
Yes.
this Pilates world where, I was thrown into training clients. Like, your training's done. Let's start this business.
Right.
And like you said, I knew, my repertoire was like 15 exercises.
Yes. Right. And go.
And go.
Yeah.
Every person, same
Yes.
exercises.
Right.
That's it. And
Yes.
so then I went, and up in Costa Mesa was BASI, Body Arts and Sciences, and I got in Rail's program, and I studied with Rail. I did not finish that program because during that time I was almost done with all the modules, but I wasn't nearly done with the hours that I needed to do. And that was incredible. He's in it, both Elizabeth and Rail. I mean, they're master trainers for a reason. They are spectacular.
Yes.
But at the time, that's when I was touring and I was at Idea, and I met Moira, and I was supposed to be working at the Schwinn booth, but I was over at the Merrithew, the Stop Pilates booth,
Yes.
because I just wanted to be around Moira, and they loved it because, oh my God, there's a guy doing Pilates
Right.
at this fitness conference. Moira was like, let's get him on every single piece of equipment and make him sweat.
Right.
And so it was great, and I loved it. And so then I quit my job and I moved to Toronto, and I lived there for 9 months and went through the entire Stop Pilates program and became a master trainer, and then moved back to LA and opened my little studio, and it was a licensed training center, and then became a master trainer for Stop Pilates. So yeah.
Wow. I love the story because people always want to get where we are, but don't want to pay the dues to get there.
Yeah, overnight success, right?
Overnight. Well, that's the saying, right? Like it takes 10 years to be an overnight success,
At least.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, that was the thing. And, they always say, like, there's this great quote about Michael Jordan and how many games he lost
Yes.
versus how many games he won. Like it's just that's the way it goes. That's what practice is. And just being in that facility in the '90s, early '90s, where he was training, and it was just amazing because he would walk into the building, and it was a 7-story facility. And the entrance was in the middle, on the middle floor, and he would walk in. You could actually feel the energy change throughout the building when he walked in. That is the it factor.
Yes.
That is the it factor. There's no one. I've never been around anyone else that had that effect. Just amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Challenge accepted.
Okay, if anybody else could do it, you could do it.
You're right. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure everyone in the thread would be like, "That is you too." Yes. And what's funny? I had this total flashback, John, as you were saying about push-ups and learning how to do a perfect push-up from your dad. CanFit Pro, back in the probably early '90s, I was doing personal training there. I was working with TRX and working their booth, and I had some time, was wandering around, and you were teaching a class in one of the small upstairs, little 200 rooms.
Yes.
So I kind of stuck my head in. I was like, okay, so guy's doing Pilates, and I just watched it for a bit and jumped in. Crushed me. It was such a tough class. But
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. But what I do remember now, it's so funny, is just that when you were doing push-ups, maybe it was just like, balance control on the reformer or some kind of variation of push-up. I was like, that's a really good push-up. It was like perfect lines. I was like, okay, respect. So now this guy can do push-ups and he can do Pilates. Let me see what this guy's about.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
push-ups are my favorite all-time exercise. All-time.
Yeah.
It's just such a great full body exercise. I love it.
Yes. Well, say more about that. Like, why is that so great for you?
Probably because of my beginnings of my dad. He would want me to do 20 push-ups at night, and he would count.
Yes.
So he would, if it wasn't perfect, he stayed on the number.
Yeah.
And, I would have to figure out what was not perfect about it and get it perfect.
Yes.
So I just love that an exercise that's so simple. Really, it's just a simple moving lever. So simple. And there's so much, though. You can just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I love that about exercise. And I think that one exercise just was instilled in me so early on that, perfect never happens. Like, that was my dad's thing. Perfect never happens. You just keep getting better at it and better at it. But perfect doesn't exist.
Yes.
So it's to this day, every time I do a push-up, in my head, I'm thinking about all the things that I can do to make it a better push-up. And I just love it. I love it.
Yeah. That's a pretty good life analogy right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you have a favorite exercise yourself?
I would say it's a push-up. It would, because with my sons, if I'll send you the clip afterwards. My maybe 4-year-old at the time, I got him to do push-ups to get a cookie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, and he's just this cute little kid trying to do these push-ups, and he can't count, but he's doing push-ups, right? Like, he just doesn't even get it. But for all my clients too, that's one of those things where you should be able to master your body weight.
Yes, totally agree.
If you can master your body weight, then the rest of it will come to you eventually. So I like teaching people who think they'll never do a push-up in their life, maybe over 2 months, to learn how to do one perfect push-up.
Yeah.
And the sense of accomplishment that comes from that, knowing that they couldn't even lower themselves down to the ground without pace, to be able to do them is great. So I like using that. It's my favorite. And I throw on all kinds of variations of it on every piece of apparatus. And yeah.
Yeah. So the next time we are able to be in person, I challenge you to a push-up contest.
Nice. That's, I'll start training
Me
today.
too.
So, yeah. So I'll fire that up. Someone's birthday, I'll just like get down and do okay, 57 push-ups. You know,
Yeah.
like that's my thing. It's just fun, right? Like, what do you need for push-ups? You know,
No,
and
that's the thing. You can do them anywhere, and like you just said, there are so many things you can do with just that one simple exercise to make it more challenging, or to add strength, or control, or there's just so many things you can do with just that one exercise. Like
yeah,
if I only could ever do one exercise ever again, it would be a push up. Now I
yes,
have some close seconds. I love squats. I love
okay,
squats of all kinds.
yes,
And I love pull-ups. I think it's what you're saying, like master your body weight. So those simple
yes,
exercises,
yes,
the just the basic exercises, being able to pull yourself up, to push yourself up, to
yes,
squat down to the ground. Like those
right.
things they are, there's no excuse for not um, practicing those. I'm not going to say not
Yes.
being able to do them, because there are reasons that people can't do them in the beginning,
Right.
but that you don't need any. Well, pull up is a little tricky, but really push ups, squats, you need
Yes.
no equipment.
Right. Just own your body weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's so fun. There's a few like some of the comments, the quotes on your page I loved, and I wonder if this ties into it, what we're just saying right now. Uh, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree,
Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln,
Yeah,
I would spend 6 hours sharpening my axe.
it is, to get ready for an event. It's all about preparation. And
Yes.
that is the whole, to me, that's what that says. The most important part is preparation. And what is so important that I've learned over my career is that that's where your love should be, in the
In the
preparation.
preparation.
Because the event is over like that, whatever it is, whatever you're
Yes.
attaining. The goal is, once you reach it, that's the goal. So
Yes.
you need to love the process.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was watching a movie the other day and it had this one liner in it, and I haven't really processed it yet, but I'm going to throw it out to you and I want to hear what you say with it. The guy had this gun that he had received from his father, who received from his father, and the inscription on it said, "Victory loves preparation."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right in there, right? That's like the almost the same thing, because if you look at all the people who've succeeded, you, most of us in the beginning look at them and think overnight success.
Yes.
But really, all of the things that you achieve in life, and if you really think about your life and what you've achieved, it all comes down to hard work. It comes
Yes.
down to hard work
Right.
and sacrifice.
Yep.
And I think that is, to me, that's what that says.
Yeah, I think so too. And sometimes we don't draw the thread though, because it doesn't look like they're related in their preparation. Like you were saying, like your passion for recognizing leaders, like you definitely are a leader and you have leadership qualities that if you were a dog trainer, you'd still be finding the best dog trainers on the planet to work for you because
Right.
you're a leader. But then you also have your education in education. So your ability to teach effectively and to communicate, all these different things come into place. And that's all your preparation for being who you are in the Pilates space. And much like I was saying to Olivia yesterday, that translates to whatever it is that we're doing. Like you have these hard skills that you've been preparing for up to this point, and it's having expression in the Pilates world, but it could have expression somewhere else. It just so happens to be Pilates right now.
Yeah. And I think, to get to that level, I think really, to get to that victory level or that goal level or whatever it is repetition.
Yes.
Um, that is what practice is all about. And I think that's where a lot of people just fall just short of
Yes.
being able to achieve what they achieve, because it is consistency, it's repetition, especially when you're talking about teaching someone else a skill. You
Yes.
need to practice it and practice. It needs to be in your body, just like we were talking about driving. It needs to
Yes.
be just, people are like, how are you able to do that when you
Yes.
demonstrate an exercise? And it doesn't mean that you have to be able to demonstrate every exercise perfectly,
Mhm.
but if you are practicing yourself, you learn how to teach it to someone else, because there are
Yes.
certain things that we're all going to have to do to be better at a skill.
Right.
Some
Yes.
of us, might be more flexible naturally or might be stronger naturally.
Mhm.
So those things, there'll be some differences. But I think overall, when you are doing that work yourself, you are teaching yourself. And if you can pay
Yes.
attention to what's
Pay attention to that.
happening,
Right. Yes.
then it makes it easier to get someone else to do that same, to get that same aha moment and get that same um, you know just that joy from accomplishing something.
Yes. Yeah. Achieving mastery.
Yeah, you were talking before about, like, that is one of the best things as a teacher is when you're working on somebody to help them do that one perfect push-up, somebody who couldn't even lower themselves to the ground before,
Yes.
to watch that, for them to experience it, but as a teacher to see that, that's money. That's
That,
it.
yes. Yes. Yep. Yep. I said it before. I feel like I'm chasing after those moments. I'm creating them and chasing after those moments for the people that I work with. So
Yeah.
yeah, so good. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, for the way that we do videos, that's the one thing that's missing, is you don't see that accomplishment on the other side of the camera.
Yes.
But having people, having that community where we have a Facebook community just for our JGTV members. It's only for them. And they share their experiences on there. And so you get that,
That
it's not
joy.
the same as in person, but it's still, you get that, you hear what's happening. And then people are
Yes.
saying, I'm struggling with this. And so you get those teachable moments, because everybody's reading that feed and seeing, what my advice is, or
Mhm.
Sherry's advice is, or Joanna's or Tasha's advice to that person. And we
Yes.
all have a different thing that they can try, and just everybody gets to see that. So everybody gets to, benefit from it.
Yes. John, you are such a joy and a light in our community, man. Like, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to mention, because last week we have a mutual friend, and
Yes.
last week Tasha was here,
Yes.
filming, and I wasn't saying anything. I don't say anything until the person is here, and then we pop up on on Instagram Live and say, guess what?
Yes.
But it was such a joy to have her here, and I had so much fun with her all
Yes.
week, and it was just to watch her grow from
Yes.
video to video to video, and watch that it factor. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for people to see her videos.
Yeah. So
She's
excited.
just great. She's
Yeah.
just great.
Yeah.
She was born to do that on camera. Really, she's great at it.
I hope
You're
she's
gonna
still there
love
to
it.
hear. Yeah.
You're gonna love it. It's
Yeah.
great.
Man, that is so good. We just burned through like 50 minutes, like 55 minutes.
It
Like,
went so fast.
oh, it's so good. Man, I really, really appreciate you and everything you're doing. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. I really appreciate it too, and I'm really honored to be on your platform. And I appreciate what you do. I watch you interview people, and you are so smooth, and you're just so good at it, and it's a joy to watch.
Well, thank you so much. I'll be practicing my push-ups coming for you.
All right, I'll meet you on the mat.
Okay. All right, sign you off. Thanks so much, John.
Bye.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody.